Driver, start your engines. You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. I'm welcoming you to another lap of Extra Mile for today, June 25th, 2020. No co-host today, it's just me, as my usual co-host Caitlin is out moving now. She's moving from North Carolina, heading all the way back to Michigan. I hope the move is going well. We will have Caitlin back when we come back in a couple of weeks. More about that later. So it's going to be a little bit of a shorter show here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, as you get you set up for this week in NASCAR and the discovery that a motorsport from my childhood is still alive and kicking. That's today's show. I hope everyone is doing well this week. In the NASCAR community, it has been another long one, as yet another controversy outside of motorsports has reared its ugly head, this time though with a happy ending. And of course I'm talking about the noose situation that happened in Bubba Wallace's garage that led to that just beautiful display of unity by the sport on Monday. And there was a lot of people talking about it wasn't a noose, it was something else, and we heard the Bubba Smollett nonsense, and NASCAR this morning released a photo, and that's a noose. That is straight up a noose. I don't know why you would think it's anything other than it. And that is what it is. It was a noose. It was the only one in the garage, as Steve Phelps said in a teleconference today, that when the announcement happened, they went and combed all the garages at the 29 tracks that NASCAR owns. That's some 1,700 garage stalls. Only 11 had their ropes tied in knots. There was only one with a noose. This was seen by the Wood Brothers Racing in October 2019. No one really mentioned it at that time because we were in a different point in the country. No one really talked about it. Of course, it was different when we got into the thing, or we've got into things that we are dealing with now in the country with the death of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, and everything becoming a fever pitch when it comes to finally righting the wrongs when it comes to racism, not to mention what NASCAR has done with removing the Confederate flag. And this is on a weekend that already had racial tensions to begin, or had tension to begin with, as a group that we are not going to name and not give any more publicity than they deserve decided to have a protest in support of a racist flag with a racist heritage that has only been flown to promote racism. To that group, all I will say is thank you for calling yourselves out. Now do us all a favor and crawl back into the hole that you came out of, and let those of us that think that the color of your skin does not define the character of a man live in peace. So, with that going on, and then this noose being found, again, it was a noose, judging by the picture that I and other journalists tweeted out today, and not to mention that there was a noose found at Sonoma, which, to this day, we have not heard why that was there, or was it in reference to what's going on with NASCAR, or the all right, what's going on with NASCAR, and or just due in part to the controversies that are going on around the country with the protest and the response to people saying that they are not going to accept heavy-handed policing anymore. And we don't know, and we have not heard anything about that news since. But NASCAR went on and gave a powerful tribute when they had everyone stand around Bubba during the opening of the race, during the opening ceremonies, before we actually got racing. And then we got to racing, and that was probably the best super speedway race in a while, mainly because we saw a race on Monday. It was supposed to be on Sunday, but rain, and we'll get to that. We saw a race on Monday where we didn't have the big one that wiped out 30 to 40 cars. But we still had the field running hard, 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide all day long. The move that sticks out to me during that race is when Ryan Blaney pulled out to pass for the lead late in the race, and that car is sideways. Like, the number is at a 45-degree angle as they're coming down the front stretch. You think, okay, well, that's half the field gone. And somehow, not only does he save the car, he keeps the lead. Now, for everything that's been said about this aerodynamic package on on tracks smaller than the super speedways, and definitely the controversies with intermediates, this package on 2 mile and above has been absolutely incredible when it comes to the races. In Talladega, once we finally got to run Talladega, was an extremely entertaining race. Now all we gotta do is work on that 1.5 mile package for the next gen car in a couple of years, and we're gonna have a really good season of NASCAR when the next gen car comes around in a couple of years. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of work going on this car next season when they're just gonna replace it for another car the year after, so I wouldn't get my hopes up there's going to be any big changes next season. But I really hope NASCAR is taking into account everyone's comments about the current aerodynamic setup as they go into continue testing on the next gen car next season, as unfortunately it had to be shut down during the COVID-19 pandemic. But Talladega was a great race once we finally got it going, but NASCAR has just been snake bitten by rain this year. Specifically, ever since we've come back from the COVID-19 pandemic. 5 of the 9 races that have run since we've been back have somehow been affected by the wet stuff. Be it through delays or postponements, or in the case of a couple of races, them getting rained out early. I don't know what NASCAR did to bring all this rain towards it, but can we please someone go apologize to Mother Nature? It's funny because the joke for NASCAR fans in the last couple of years was, if you got a drought, bring a NASCAR race because we bring the rain with them. And unfortunately, that seems to be true, because when it came to the Talladega weather report, it was about a 15% chance of rain. By the time we got to Sunday, it was 100%. No idea how the weather patterns are being affected, that when NASCAR comes like, oh, time to rain, of course, maybe it's because we're NASCAR fans and we only race during the weekends. We're kind of hypersensitive to the rain, but it is funny that we've had to deal with all these rain delays. And while we're sitting here, let's check out what the Long Pond, Pennsylvania weather is looking like this week as we check it out. Well, Saturday, there is an 80% chance of rain now, most of it being centered around 12 o'clock at 68% chance, so going to have issues with rain all day Saturday. Sunday, only 20%. So we should be able to get races in Sunday, But that means that the worst case scenario here is kind of taking place with Saturday's going to be affected by rain, and Sunday they're going to have to figure out, are they going to move those races to Monday? Are they going to try to cram them all in on Sunday, which is going to be next to impossible? So it looks like we could have a Sunday, Monday race schedule other than a Saturday, Sunday schedule. But who knows? We could get to Saturday and it doesn't rain at all. So we will see what happens with the weather at Long Pond, Pennsylvania this week, which is a race normally, or last year, I was at. You know, I got to cover my first NASCAR race ever at Pocono. This week was going to be exciting because we were going to do the double up there. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're doing it from home, and it's a lot different, you know, getting on and doing the Zoom conferences and the teleconference we had with NASCAR President Steve Phelps early today. You know, it's a lot different feeling because at this point in the day, Shane and I would either be in the media center typing up the post-race reports for the ARCA race, or already in the hotel relaxing and getting ready for tomorrow. But because of what's going on, we're all at home and we're all sitting in our houses and we're all going to type up the articles and bring you the coverage of this sport. But it's definitely not going to feel the same, and it's definitely not going to be as ideal as we would want it, which is obviously being there in the media center, getting to talk to the other journalists, and having a good time, you know, hanging out with each other. So it's unfortunate, but next year we will be back and better than ever. So here is your top 5 from the Geico 500. Ryan Blaney, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, your top 5. Bubba Wallace ended up finishing that race 14th. Had a chance to win that race late, but ran out of gas before the final incident. Ended up running out of gas during that caution. Corey LaJoie pushes him around to get fuel. They get out to race, and unfortunately, there's a wreck behind them. Takes out what would have been his pushers coming to the line. So Bubba ends up finishing 14th in that race. But a great race. And a good ending to what was, unfortunately, another stressful weekend for NASCAR's only black driver. The FBI did get involved, and thankfully, there was no wrongdoing found in the making of this noose. But of all the knots, why that one? There's a million other knots you could tie a rope in to use it as a pull-down handle. So I don't get why they did that, and hopefully that is rectified in that garage stall by the time we come back in the fall. We will see. Hopefully it will be dealt with. And this is what the point standings look like after the Talladega Superspeedway event, with Kevin Harvick leading by 23 over Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. It's 4 top 3 in the points, and 4 out of the top 5 are also Fords. The Chase Elliott 4th, 32 back, and Brad Keselowski 5th, 49 back. Denny Hamlin 62 back, Martin Truex 66 back. Those are 6th and 7th. Alex Bowman, who came on strong early in the season, has quieted down a lot since then. He is 8th in the points, 71 back. Kyle Busch 9th, Kurt Busch 10th. That rounds out your top 10 in the standings. Tyler Reddick currently 16th. And Ryan Newman, remember, he missed 4 races. He's currently 25th. Getting to the point where he's probably going to need a win. Actually, 3 races, excuse me. He's definitely going to need a win to try and get into the playoffs. We'll see if Ryan Newman can pull that off. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be a much shorter show this week. We're going to talk about what we expect this week in Pocono, and a series from my childhood not only is still around, but they're getting ready to launch their own online series. More about that on the other side of this break here in the Extra Mile with IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Here comes the pitch, and it comes in wide.
On the BS3 Sports Show.
Welcome to the BS3 Sports Podcast. We hope your experience with us is amazing. Sports talk, comedy, social issues, and more. BS3 is the best source.
Can you dig it?
Hi, I'm Brian McLaughlin. In the National Football League, there are approximately 17 million total fans.
I'm Andrew Guzman. My Dallas Cowboys make up almost 9 million of those fans.
And my Seahawks have a very loyal fan base of around 4 million.
That's more than 3/4 of all the fans.
That's absolutely correct, Andrew. And on the Common Ground Football Podcast, we'll be talking about the good, bad, and the ugly of these teams.
We'll have weekly picks, discuss transactions, injuries.
And we'll chat about the rest of the league, too.
Blake freaking Bortles?
Oh, yes. And Captain Andrew Luck.
Excellent. What about Fitzmagic?
Oh, let's not get carried away now.
Oh, all right then.
Join us each week at commongroundfootballpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcast.
It's going to be
awesome.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We are back here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr., and in the 90s, when I was, born, as a young lad on ESPN2, it was basically ESPN's racing channel. There was all sorts of racing on there, from NASCAR, NHRA, Supercross. I think they showed the Daytona 200 on there at some point, sports car racing. And then there was this series called Unlimited Hydroplanes. And this was one of my favorite, I guess we can say, non-traditional motorsports ever. These are 20 to 32 foot long boats with jet engines put on the back. These boats do 200 miles per hour on the water. Okay? They're the most insane things you will ever see in your life, and I loved them. Unfortunately, ESPN started to go away from, having ESPN2 as their motorsports channel and have done what they have now done with all of their channels, which is basically turn them into the talking head sports show channels during the day and then Sports Center in the evening. The unlimited hydroplanes disappeared from TV. They had a run on Speed for a little while, although Speed didn't really advertise it, so I didn't even know it was on there, before they disappeared off television. And unfortunately, they disappeared from my consciousness. But with the COVID-19 pandemic and not a lot of sports going on, I decided to check and see if my favorite sport or my favorite non-traditional motorsport from my childhood was still around. And good news, everyone! The H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing Series still exists. They are mainly on the Midwest and West Coast right now, with events in Guntersville, Alabama, Madison, Michigan, the Columbia Cup, which is in the Tri-Cities area, Home Street Bank Cup, which is in Seattle, and of course they wrap up the season in San Diego with one of the biggest races with the San Diego Bay Fair. Now, by far, their biggest event of the year seems to be the, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, I apologize, the Hapo Columbia Cup, which is held in the Tri-Cities area on the Columbia River in Washington State. Unfortunately, all 5 of their events have been postponed to 2021 due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, as H1 Unlimited Series obviously does not have a TV deal, so they are basically, they require a gate to actually make money. And as I talk to some of the people, as I'm getting ahead of my story here a little bit, I talked to some of the H1 Unlimited guys, and they think it's for all of boat racing, probably for the best that there's no races, because a lot of teams get to save money and get to come back at it harder next season in 2021. Now, why is this important? Well, the Unlimited Hydroplanes actually have a game known as HydroSim. It's made by some of the people in the hydroplane community, and they actually have an online league. The U1 Hydroplane E-League ran a couple of races last winter, and they are preparing to do what NASCAR did with the iRacing Invitational Series this Saturday. They're going to get together the racers from the real H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series, chuck them onto the game, and actually have the H1 Unlimited Hydroplane season, albeit in a digital format. Now, Guntersville Lake in Guntersville, Alabama, that community is really excited. They're going to be showing the race live in establishments on Saturday. This is going to be something that you want to see. And you really want to take a trip down the H1 Unlimited YouTube channel. Just go on to YouTube and type in H1 Unlimited Hydroplanes. The channel name is actually H1 Unlimited. They have uploaded classic races and the races from 2019 and before. I'm getting caught up with the season right now. I just watched the Graham Trucking Boat win the Tri-Cities race on the Columbia River. So I'm 2 to go in wrapping up the season and getting caught up with what happened in 2019. Right now, the Miss Madison Home Street Boat, actually, I'm going to get the actual name as I'm sitting here in front of the computer. Give me 1 second. I need to clear my throat, so I apologize. I'm going to go mute here for just a second. Excuse me. U1 Miss Madison Racing, which is sponsored by Home Street Bank. That boat currently leads the point standings in the 2019 season as I've watched it so far. I'm not going to spoil how it ends. The driver, Jimmy Shane, is actually from my state up in Cecil County, Maryland, which is from here. That is that is a drive. You have to go up one of the scariest bridges that I've ever had to cross to get there. But H1 Unlimited still going strong. 10 boats right now currently registered in there. 9 of them the hydroplanes with the turbine engines. And there's one boat still kicking it with the piston engines. That is the GO3 Racing, sponsored by Griggs Ace Hardware. The U3 of Jimmy King. That boat still getting it done. They really only come out from one race a year, from what I understand. Still getting it done with the old piston-powered boats. Fortunately, those piston-powered boats not as reliable as the turbine-engined machines, but still nice to see one of the boats from the old days of hydroplane racing still out there and kicking. But these turbine hydroplanes, look, I'm not going to tell you again. Head on over to H1 Unlimited. Watch the videos on YouTube. There are some amazing races. And these boat racers, y'all are the bravest individuals that I know. Because there's no way you are strapping me into one of these and telling me to go out there and run this thing. Going 200 miles per hour on water. Going 200 miles per hour on the land is scary enough, but on the water it feels like they're going so much faster. And these guys get hole to hole for 5 laps in the features, or the final heat, as they call it. It would be known as the feature for us in dirt racing land. They get out and they battle, and it's a lot of fun. These boats are incredible feats of engineering. I am hoping, now that they're in Alabama, that they keep coming on the East Coast, maybe show up in Cambridge, Maryland. Big racing community. They have 2 big races on the Choctaw River a year. Would be a real good community to come out and, support with unlimited hydroplanes. Yes, I'm stumping to get these races in my state because I really want to go. But unfortunately, all the races are Midwest and the West Coast. I mean, I can go out there, but it would really be nice if they had them, back on the East Coast like they used to back in the 90s when they ran in Syracuse and in Norfolk, Virginia. Unfortunately, I didn't realize they ran down there, or I would have at least, begged my mother to take me down there to see them. So, the H1 Unlimited hydroplanes, you can actually download the HydroSim mod, or the HydroSim game, for free. You can go over to, you type in HydroSim in Google. You can also go to uhlhydroplanes.com/HydroSim. You can download the game now and get in with the HydroSim community. And once you get in with the game, make an account. You can also get on the Discord and hang out with some of the teams and drivers in the U1 hydroplane series, or U1 Unlimited hydroplane series, So you want to check that out. Also, go over to the YouTube channel and binge watch all the videos, because hydroplane racing is incredible, and it is something that you need to go see. It is a sensory experience, much like the NHRA, in my opinion. You gotta go check it out, okay? That's as far as I'm gonna go with it. Go check it out. And thank me when you do. At DKJunior12 on Twitter. Anyway. So NASCAR is going on to Pocono this weekend, as they're going to be yet again the only game in town. And when you think Pocono and you think NASCAR, the last 5 races, you think Toyota, because the last 5 winners have been Toyotas. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch twice. Denny Hamlin also picked up a win there at the Pocono Raceway. Last 5 races all won by Toyotas, which probably makes certain individuals not that happy, as we know how Toyota is viewed, but that's sort of another day. They have really strong cars at this racetrack, and most recent years they have had strong cars in general when it comes to the mile and a half and above, but Toyota not been as strong lately, as we have not had practice and qualifying either, so really depends on how you come off the boat, I'm thinking hydroplanes now. It really these races boil down to how you come off the trailer, and the Toyotas have not been well coming off the trailer. And however, this could be a day where the JGR Toyotas could see a resurgence, because Kyle Busch has won 3 of the last 5. The other 2 have been won by Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. That goes back to July of 2017. I was there for the most recent race, which was won by Denny Hamlin. And that was a race that came down to fuel strategy. Kyle Busch was leading that race, got caught out by a late caution, and Denny Hamlin ended up picking up the win. This year, it's been the Fords and the Chevys that have been picking up the pace, but Denny Hamlin leads the series in wins. And this is a track, Denny Hamlin, where the beginning of his career, he was out of sight, struggling a little bit when the track got repaved, but now he's starting to get the handle of it once again. You are going to see a very motivated Denny Hamlin. That is a track where if you're showing up on Saturday and Sunday, if that is a guy that could really pull off the first ever points race doubleheader sweep in NASCAR. There'll be 2 races on this weekend at Pocono for the Cup Series. Now, how this is going to work, there was a random draw today for the lineup on Saturday, which Eric Almirola and Ryan Blaney will lead the field to the green. On Sunday, the field will be set by the finishing order on Saturday. However, they will flip the top 20, do a top 20 invert, like what they did, and you've already seen, at Charlotte and Darlington when we got back to racing. That is going to make the battle for the 20th spot exciting in the latter stages of the race, because whoever finishes 20th gets to lead the field to the green on Sunday. Now, I don't know what that's going to do if we have if that race unfortunately gets rained out. We will find out this weekend. It's going to be an exciting race weekend at Pocono. Did not hear whether or not they were going to put down the PJ1 traction compound. I don't think they will. To be honest, it really didn't affect the racing as much as we thought it would. How it was laid out, it was put up so that the drivers have to venture up to get it, and how Pocono is laid out with 3 flat corners, and those corners are there to represent 3 famous IndyCar tracks: Trenton, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Milwaukee Mile. Unfortunately, that is a 1-groove circuit. No one really got up there to use that second groove except for in turn 3, so I don't expect to see the PJ1. It was not announced about whether or not they will have it down, but we will find out when cars touch the track. ARCA will be the first series on the track on Friday. And of course, we have to do picks for nearest the win. You get one driver for both races. I'm going to take Denny Hamlin. This is a track that Denny is tough to beat at, and I think he's going to sweep the weekend and pick up the win on Saturday and Sunday. Follow me on Twitter at DKJunior12, as I will have updates from the conference, from the teleconferences all weekend long at Pocono Raceway. Also, we'll have things written up on WBGRnetwork.com as we get into the weekend. I've already written up a couple of things about the investigation into the noose that we had the teleconference for on Saturday. Today, excuse me. So keep up to date. Follow me on Twitter at DKJunior12. Also, if you want to get in touch with me. And also make sure to follow the iSports Radio Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. And check out with our past episodes anywhere where podcasts can be heard. It's a shorter show this week with just me, because I know you don't want to hear me ramble on for an hour. So we're going to get ready to get out of here for this weekend. Enjoy the races this week. Caitlin, if you're listening, I hope you're doing well on the move. I will see you in a couple of weeks. No show next week. I will be at the Pennsylvania Sprint Week races at the Hagerstown Speedway, so I will not be in town on Thursday. That being said, till the green flag flies again, this has been the Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.